Alright, what's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another live stream. I know you can't see my screen yet. We will take care of that shortly. But let me know if you can at least hear me okay for now. We've got a very, very fun live stream today. A lot of beautiful stuff going on in this market. And I'm very excited to break this down with you all. Bear with here as I just make sure we're looking good. Make sure that everything's stable. The volume is low. Can we get some volume checks? Because I felt like it was low on my side too, and then I compared it to how it was a few weeks ago, and I was like, actually, it's the same. So, can we just get some volume checks in the chat, please? And here we are. What's going on, guys? Welcome back. It's low. A little low. Okay, let's turn it up a little bit. Alright, let's see how this is. How are we feeling about this? This might be a bit too loud. This might be a bit too loud, ladies and gents. But welcome to the live stream, everybody. As you are tuning in, thank you all very much for joining us. Better? Good stuff. Smash up those likes as you are coming in here today for a $120,000 Bitcoin. Hell yeah. It's about time. We're back up. We had a bit of a depressing market over these last couple of weeks. Things look like they're coming back a little bit now, which is definitely exciting and nice to see. Smash up those likes, ladies and gents, as you do come in. Couple questions about where I've been. I've just been traveling, ladies and gents. It's just been a bit of a busy period. Just been hanging out with family. Standard stuff, really. Nothing crazy. But we're going to be taking a look at the market. You know, kind of looking at how things are evolving. Going to be looking at Bitcoin. We're going to be comparing it against the S&P 500, which is doing its typical, you know, red candle staircase to heaven, which doesn't even make sense, but it is what it is. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Let me know how we feeling about this market. How are we feeling? Are we optimistic? We thinking all-time highs? The thumbnail of this live stream says 130K, which I think is definitely on the cards. Let me know how we're feeling about this market, ladies and gents, in the live chat here. And welcome to another live stream as well. Tons of familiar names. Tons of names I don't recognize, but maybe I should. I don't know. Welcome back, everyone. Hey, from South Africa. Been a while. No Lambo. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's Lambo season for us right here. Let me know where you're watching from, though. Where in the world you are. Always love to see how international the audience is. Very, very exciting for me. Don't really know why. I just like it. Kevin says he went away for 5 hours and now we're blowing up. Yeah, it's one of those situations in the market. It's very fun when that happens, like, as a lifestyle, when it happens regularly. I'll tell you, that's very nice. I don't know if we're there yet, but I certainly would like to hope we are. Not that that really changes anything. Here's Trump coin just sitting at a nasty low floor right now, which is kind of crazy. Abdul Rauf, welcome to the channel, bro. Buying the next higher low. Yeah, that would be cool. We got Vegas. What's up, Vegas? 130K as soon as possible. It looks like it. It looks like the market's trying to go for it. I mean, this is a pretty, like, you know, last time we got up to this resistance level, Bitcoin didn't have a chance at breaking this level. And we're now, you know, like several $1,000s higher. So this is a great first sign. We've got Sacramento, London, Oman. What's going on? I love that. Welcome to the live stream, everyone. Smash up the likes as you are coming in here. Let's get this thing above 50. Really kick the stream off. At the mercy of the algorithms, ladies and gents. That's our existence in 2025. That's all we are. We're just fucking ants crawling along our own algorithm. That's basically what we are. Any entries? It feels like we need to long the top so fast. Are we going? I mean, you don't want to long the top, do you? You want to... we got Minnesota, Saudi. What's up? So yeah, I think, you know, 120 here as resistance is a very important level. Obviously, we're kind of stalling at this level a little bit now. If you take a look at this on the 5 minute, it's actually looking pretty good, right? I mean, the first time that we got up to this level, which was 2.5 hours ago, First time we got up to this level, it was a pretty steep, pretty quick rejection. Bitcoin ended up going from a high of 120,400 down to 119,400. So it's just a $1,000 drop, and it took an hour and 15 minutes. But the really nice thing is that now we're back up to this level, and the last time we got up to the top of this range, we were there for about 15 minutes. This time we've been sustained at this level for 40 minutes. So that's a really strong sign in terms of super short-term analysis, which is not reliable, mind you, but as far as this analysis goes within its limits, this is a really good sign that we are about to get a breakout here. You know, it's just the fact that previously, you know, we kind of tried to stab this level, couldn't really break it. Now we're able to consolidate at the level, right? So clearly any selling volume that really wanted to kind of, you know, exit the market had a chance to do that, and now that selling volume isn't really there, but we've still, of course, got all of this residual buying pressure that brought us up from, you know, literally $109,000 only like 5 days ago, 4 days ago, to where we are now. We're up in, you know, we're up by 10% in 4 days, which is absolutely fantastic. Welcome to the live stream, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in today. Need some sort of bounce, of course. Hour 20 left of the US market. Yeah, definitely worth looking at that as well. We'll take a look at the S&P 500 quickly, and yeah, so it's going to be an hour and 27 until the S&P stops trading. It's been another pretty bullish day, actually, to be honest. Actually, no, it's Thursday now. Oh my god, it's Thursday? Is it Thursday? Yeah, I didn't even realize. Wow, this week is going fast. But yeah, no, we've got you know, I mean, a pretty decent kind of continuation here for the S&P today. All of this was Thursday. Yeah, that makes sense. So, you know, we gapped up and then we just kind of traded down. Standard shit. It always like opens in the red, but higher than where it closed. And I don't know. I don't really understand why it does this, but at least it's going up. You know, like that's important. See it happen over here as well, right? We gap up. We're trading up for like, I don't know, an hour, and then the rest of the day we're trading down, you know, and it's really common that this happens when we're trending up. Just like gap up and immediately trade down, but whatever. You know, it looks good, right? The S&P is literally at all-time highs right now. It's still standing strong at those all-time highs. It's not surprising that Bitcoin is doing the same. Obviously, Bitcoin, if it was tracking the S&P a little bit better, would be substantially higher than this level by now, but it's playing catch-up pretty quick, and this is exactly what I told you guys I expect to happen in the market. Smash up the likes for that, ladies and gents, if you saw our updates on that, which is when I was basically saying that, look, yeah, Bitcoin's lagging behind a little bit, but it's fucking Bitcoin, okay? It's not gold or, you know, the Canadian dollar. You know, it's not going to move slowly. It's going to move like Bitcoin. So, you know, yeah, it's doing a little bit shit for a period of time, but clearly, you know, it just kind of picks itself up whenever it wants to, usually due to, you know, things like market manipulation that kind of kicks it off. And then the market just kind of goes where it needs to go. And that's what we're seeing right now. You know, the markets can stay in, you know, kind of irrational levels for a period of time, but when that irrationality is over, or when the people who are suppressing the market are no longer suppressing the market, these are important things, by the way. I was going to tell you this shit, but, you know, when those people are done suppressing the market, or maybe they've exhausted their supply that they wanted to offload onto the market, which is like what we've seen on the 5-minute time frame just a few minutes ago. For those of you tuning in, you can just rewind the stream. You know, in those situations, you are going to get, you know, that equilibrium that we need to be at, which in this case looks like it's at 120K or higher. You're gonna return to that equilibrium pretty quickly. In other words, the market is going to be irrational for a period of time, but then it's going to stop being irrational. And when it stops being irrational, it's going to snap back pretty violently. And again, that's clearly what we've seen here, right? I mean, 4 days to go up by 10% is pretty spectacular. And, you know, especially considering some of the resistance levels that we broke, you know, if we just put this in perspective here, from this low to this high, it took 17 days for Bitcoin to rise by less than this. You know, like, just to put this in perspective, it was 17, and this is only like, this was September. This was literally just last month. You know, Bitcoin took 17 days to rise by 10. And on this occasion here, it took Bitcoin 4 days, or 7 days, actually, 6 days, depending on how we calculate this. I think originally I calculated it just from where the breakout started. So yeah, that's 4 days. Which, to be fair, I did from here as well. So that is a fair comparison. Yeah, it all started off from this point, 17 versus 4 days. So, You know, I mean, clearly it's a different rally. You know, like clearly we're attacking with a little bit more strength right now. Like I don't even think that this compares, right? Like up to this high, this is nearly a 10%. That's an 11%. That was 10. That was 11 days, right? So this is the quickest kind of like rally we've had basically since this move up in early July. And I don't think that that's something that people are really understanding or grasping. You know, I don't think that people are actually appreciating that. That's kind of a big. It's not like it's not crazy, right? Like it's not like, you know, changing the game at all, you know, in any way. But, you know, it is still a good sign. Like, it is still something that you want to see. It's better than not seeing it. And that's something that I actually quite like as far as a sign in this market. Ladies and gents, if you are just tuning in, smash up those likes. We're closing in on 50. I want to get this thing above 50 likes here and see how quickly we can get that. So smash them up if you are appreciating this content so far. I do appreciate that very much. But yeah, as far as those notes, you know, this is a pretty significant kind of push up. It's lining up with the S&P looking bullish. I mean, you know, like making bearish arguments right now is pretty fucking difficult, right? That's the bottom line that I'm seeing here. You know, it's hard to be bearish right now, especially in this like super short-term perspective, even mid-term perspective, as far as kind of what I see here. So the journey of _, is saying, yeah, I wait for a pullback to hop in. Yeah, that's fantastic. Obviously, always getting in on a pullback is always going to be a smart idea. We did just have a pullback. But, you know, whatever. Maybe that one wasn't good enough. But, yeah, I think, you know, a lot of people, they want to, like, fucking go in with a big bull's buy at, you know, like, a price level that is kind of unrealistic. But the crypto markets will give you unrealistic price levels quite often because the pullbacks are pretty, you know, harsh. But then because they're harsh, you come down to the buy level you're expecting with your big bulls energy, and now you don't have any bulls anymore, and you don't click buy. And that happens to a lot of people. And, you know, I think in my experience, one of the easiest ways to avoid that with myself, with people that, you know, I've worked with, is literally just DCA. You know, it's to say, look, like I'm fishing for a 90K entry, but, you know, if we fall below 110, I'm going to start buying a little bit every week anyway. You know what I mean? Like, that's a super sensible approach to take. It's very clinical. It's very, you know, financially hygienic. And I really, you know, I find that ideas like that are typically, you know, very, very sensible. So that's really exciting. So close to 50 likes, ladies and gents. Smash them up. Thank you all for pumping them up. One sec. Yeah. So nice to see the bulls in the house. Not that they left. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think it's just that a lot of people were never bullish in the first place. You know, and I don't really know why. Like I said, I've been like, you know, scratching my head about this throughout this entire market cycle of like, why the hell is everybody so depressed? You know, I mean, like I get it that like, you know, you're probably like poorly positioned, fucking, you know, bulls deep in altcoins for like the last 2 business years where everyone's getting screwed on alts, but. You know, like, I mean, I don't know. Can I say that's a skill issue or is that insensitive? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, the market itself has done well. That's my point, right? We went from 15K to 120. That is like an 8x. I don't know. You guys know my math is terrible, but I don't even have a calculator. That's sad. Let me use my phone here. What is that? Like, 120 divided by 15. That's an 8x gain. That's bang on an 8x gain. You know, and so, like, again, like, you can be depressed about it because your money was in altcoins this whole time, but, you know, that's totally not, like, realistic at all. Bear with. We're back. No, we're not back. Now we're back. So, you know, 120, you know, I think makes sense with that in mind. You know, I think that getting up to, you know, 124 also makes sense. You know, it's not far away from where we are right now. It's a pretty realistic one. You know, like they definitely, like, they're not giving us signs that this market is weak. And we've also broken most of our important resistance levels by now. So, I really think that this is a strong position for the market. This is a really, really nice area for the market to be in right now. And if we do end up seeing, a drop down from here, we've got support that can help us out at about 117k, which is really, really nice. And, we've got tons of, more useful levels below that. And, we could end up falling down to them, right? If we end up kind of like throwing a fib on this and, things start getting bad for the market, like there are going to be some interesting fib levels that develop. But it's too early to even look at that stuff because, we are still in a situation here where, like we haven't even topped, right? And if we haven't topped, it's very hard to say where, the top is going to come in and where you can start drawing fibs from. Because then you're making assumptions that frankly aren't going to pay you. These assumptions are things that, you're going to do like a brilliant fun thought experiment, but you're not really necessarily going to get much out of it. And I don't think that's the place to be, right? I think it's a lot more productive to just kind of look at the cards that are in front of you at the moment and then make decisions based off that. And when you take that kind of approach, you're typically going to find that, I don't know, you're just doing things in a much healthier way. It's much calmer. You're not like... because a lot of people, they live in like crazy if statement scenarios of, like 5 different if statements stacked on top of each other of like what might happen. And then you're just fucking prophesizing at that point, like you're not really analyzing, you're just making a story that you want to believe and, fucking piling on evidence to keep on proving the same story. And that's not a good place to be either. That's a really, really weak place to be as a trader or as an analyst because you're just too far up your own head. You're not looking at reality. And I think that's what we're seeing with this move. There's a lot of denial about this move. There's a lot of, like sentiment that says we're never getting an alt season again or alt season is a psyop, or whatever. And I'm not surprised that I'm hearing this stuff. I mean, like we've got a market that just has been totally unsuccessful outside of just the bigger institutional players for like the last 2-3 years. So yeah, there's going to be like a lot of apathy here that says that, we're screwed and we're never going to make it. Thanks for smashing up those likes, by the way. Smash them up if you haven't already. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another live stream. If you guys have any questions or requests for charts and stuff like that, let me know. Shout out to Jacob saying, let's go. I'm calling Remco and a couple others out. A lot of people going too deep in alts too early. Yeah, absolutely. But, I think that time is pretty palatable now. I like the fact that Bitcoin dominance took a little bit of a jump up from here. And I think that if it can get higher, incredible altcoin entries are going to open up. I don't know if it's actually going to happen because we're already seeing dominance come down when Bitcoin got that next breakout today. Obviously, when we made our last video, it was, it's still a picture where Bitcoin dominance was looking somewhat strong. But, that's already kind of, not really at play anymore. And it is looking, a little bit worse. So for Bitcoin dominance, meaning that Bitcoin dominance might come down. But again, that's just, continuing to pave the way for alt season to happen. I saw an interesting post from Benjamin Cowan today about how we could be reaching a cycle top this year. I didn't really fully understand why he says that. It seems like it was like a broad kind of like cyclical theory of some sort, which I put like basically no weight on ever because they don't fucking work. But I don't know, I'm probably missing something because Cowan is incredibly talented. He is very, very good at what he does. So I'll definitely take another look at that. But, even if that did happen, even if we did see a market top this year, that kind of lines up, quite well with the plausible kind of alt season in January, February, which is what we saw in 2018. And I think we saw it one more time in one of our other subsequent market cycles as well. So, that's pretty cool as well. Let's take a quick look at Ondo, which was a request from a viewer. I won't spend too much time on this, but I just want to quickly kind of take a look at it. And it is nowhere particularly interesting. Other than like its broad market structure does look pretty good. Like its broad market structure does look like it's in a healthy place. I think Ondo needs to get above, like $1.10 basically, like somewhere around here. and then it can start seeing some really explosive breakouts. But until that point, you know, it's kind of up against resistance. But obviously, you know, if the rest of the market is doing well, then Ondo is going to have a pretty realistic chance at getting that breakout as well. Got a request to look at Solana. We're going to start by looking at the Bitcoin chart. I can't stress this enough, to be honest. Looking at altcoins, the only chart that really is important, in my opinion, is the chart against Bitcoin, because if they're not outperforming Bitcoin, or if you can't forecast that they might outperform Bitcoin, then you're just buying something that's riskier than Bitcoin, but without the same kind of upside as Bitcoin. So I think it's really important to choose alts that are going to do better than Bitcoin, because when you're increasing your risk, you should be getting paid for that proportionally, or ideally disproportionately in your favor. So that, let's say you increase your risk by, I don't know, like 3 arbitrary points, your reward should increase by a minimum of 6 or 9 arbitrary points. And I think that's really important. You know, we want to be really making a lot more money if we're risking more, because otherwise it's just, this is just my view of, you know, I mean, what do I know? I've only been doing this for 8 fucking years, but, you know, like in my experience, I think it's like really, it's critically important to, you know, just be aware that, you know, if we are exploring altcoins, you know, it should be to our advantage, not to our detriment. A lot of people just jump in altcoins because it's cheaper, you know, and that's obviously not, you know, going to give you a great path to increase your, you know, your finances over time. So definitely interesting. We've got a request for Binance Coin with a bunch of fire emojis. Let's not make that normal, but yeah, this is cool. Binance Coin did get a big breakout here. Again, it's the Bitcoin chart that I think is important. This is exactly what I had forecasted for the Binance Coin chart, and I'm now looking to see a pullback to get a long-term spot buy on it. That would be really, really nice if we do get a long-term kind of spot level on Binance Coin. It's kind of hard to imagine that we won't get it, considering how macro this level is for Binance Coin, and considering the fact that, you know, we literally spent like, you know, like, I don't know, 8 months down here, you know, below this level. So I think the 4-year cycle is still in play? Absolutely not. And I haven't had any respect for that 4-year cycle since I first heard of it like 6 years ago or whatever, or 5 years ago. I just think that I've always labeled it as a kind of like childish theory. It's like, you know, like you learn the RSI as your first ever indicator, and you're like, okay, now I'm going to do an RSI strategy. And it's like, all right, like, calm down, you know, like it's not that crazy. You know, it's just a correlation. Causality is more important, frankly. And, you know, it's like, well, what's causing our bull market this time? And, you know, like, I've already covered this extensively, but I really believe that, and I know I haven't gone over Solana, we'll go back to that in a second, but I really believe that, you know, one of the biggest things that set this market off in a healthy place was the S&P backtesting its previous all-time high from 2021, 2022. And, you know, just the understanding that I said in the last video, shout out to those of you that are subscribed, by the way, and smashing up those likes. I do appreciate it a lot. Let's see if we can get this thing up to 100 likes. We're closing in on 100, so thank you all very, very much. But as I've been saying, you know, when you get to backtest the previous all-time high on a major index like the S&P 500, that is typically going to be a sign that comes in during early stages of a bull market. It's not something that happens at late stages or even, you know, middle of the bull market cycles kind of stages. You know, it is something that you typically exclusively see toward the beginning of a market cycle. And, you know, it's like, okay, well then which market cycle are we in? And we're clearly in an upward, you know, bull market, you know, cycle. So, you know, with all of that in mind, I think it's, as far as what I said, like, you know, causality, like, again, you just got all the factors stacked up against you. That's my point, right? That's what we've been saying on this channel over and over and over, is that you're not like, you're not looking like you've got a high chance of being correct when, you know, everything is working against you. Like, the main thing that, you know, fucking well put together white collar types have been saying about these markets for a long time is that interest rates are going to cause a crash, you know, when they drop, because it's a transitionary period. And there's tons of evidence to suggest that they're correct on that, but not this time. Interest rates started cutting 1 year ago, and they cut again 2 weeks ago. And the only thing we've seen after both events is continued further upside. So, I don't know. You tell me. You know what I mean? Like, it clearly looks to me like nothing is proving the bears right now. Could that change? Yeah. You know, if Bitcoin shits the bed, and drops by 20k tomorrow, and then drops by another 10k next week, that's going to put Bitcoin at 90k. Is that bearish? Not really. 90k is a great support zone for Bitcoin, and deep pullbacks help the market go higher. That's been demonstrated very clearly throughout this market cycle, no less, more specifically, on this channel continuously. It's one of the most common things we talk about how we need these kind of big, steep pullbacks. Now, while it's happening, everybody and their grandmother cannot tolerate it and they lose their minds. You don't, because you're watching this channel, but many others do. But we've seen these 32, 31% corrections happen multiple times throughout this market cycle now, and they are healthy. If this turns into that, then our 30% drop puts us down at about kind of the high 80s or mid 80s, somewhere around there. That's a pretty reasonable level to see Bitcoin fall down to as far as support. A lot of people are going to lose their minds over it, but they lost their minds on this, and they lost their minds on this. And you know what? They even lost their minds on these moves here, which were only 20% down. So, you know, we're not really interested in what retail has to say about these kind of price drops. They're clearly fucking retarded, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. So it's not about that. It's about like what's normal, what's consistent for Bitcoin, what's well within Bitcoin's established, proven behavior patterns throughout history. And that is deep, you know, large scale pullbacks. So we want them. And if we get them, it's great. But let's say we drop by another 20k from there and now we're at 70. All right, we start having some causes for concern. Now, I understand that that's a whole 50 fucking grand lower than where we are right now, and that might sound unreasonable to you, right? A lot of people are going to be like, come on, 50k down, and then you get bearish. Well, yeah, actually, that's exactly what you do, because this is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is a volatile asset, and it prints large ranges on the chart. If that's not something you're comfortable with, if that's not something you like, if that's something you want to argue, then you're not cut out for crypto. You can't tell crypto to behave differently. Crypto does this. It's normal. It's healthy. Okay? So, and this is my point about, you know, like seeing market cycle tops or anything like that. Like, we've done so well. We haven't had that 30% pullback. We're already back up to 120k. This is a strong market. You can shit talk it. You can choose not to believe it. You can say all sorts of things about it. You're not going to change the reality that this market has been resilient. A resilient market is a healthy market, and that's what we have here. So, I like it. I like what I'm seeing. I think that we're getting good signs across the board still, right now. What are the chances we drop from here? Isn't it imminent to get a drop now? I mean, we're at resistance, right? So, you know, resistance is where you expect rejections to happen. So, yeah, like by that measure, absolutely. This is where you would want to expect some trouble to come in. But what trouble, right? I mean, you know, we've been up here for a little bit. We're pushing higher as we speak, by the way. Let's get the rect cam on the right-hand side so that we can see what Bitcoin's doing on a degenerate small time frame here. You know, this is the 1 minute here. Let's put it on the 5. Look at that. On the 5 minute time frame there, we were just looking at this earlier on in this live stream. Smash up the likes if you were here. We were just looking at this earlier on, and you know, we've now seen that break, and this is exactly what I said. Just go ahead and rewind the live stream. This is exactly what I said I would be expecting to happen here, because you know, Bitcoin has clearly kind of, you know, gotten rejected here. It lasted up here for like 15 minutes. It lasted up here for 40 minutes. So that was a strong implication to me that we're getting a breakout, and that's exactly what we got. So smash up the likes for that, ladies and gents. Push this thing up to 100 just for that, because that was sick, and it's very nice to see that playing out in real time. New all-time high by the 10th of... I'm sorry, by the 7th. Why do you have that specific date in mind? Is there a reason for that? You're the only dude I listen to in the crypto space. 4 years now. Took me 3 years to become profitable. Lots of noise. Sammy is the OG analyst. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. That's exactly what we want to do on this channel, mate. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, like I was saying, as far as kind of getting a retracement, this is exactly... I'm a southerner. Am I? I don't know. I guess I am, if you count London as south. But yeah, we've got... you know, we London's southeast, really, isn't it? But you know, I mean, this is resistance. So resistance is where you expect rejections to come in. You know, but we've cleared most of it now, you know. I mean, we're on the daily time frame here. Let's zoom in onto the 4 hour and see if anything changes. Yeah, like we've cleared most of the problematic zones on this chart right now. And, you know, it's definitely looking like, you know, this thing wants to continue kind of traveling higher from here. So, you know, I mean, there's no resistance now, right? Like we've kind of cleared all of it. And so our next kind of speculative level now is more or less kind of just the all-time high. There are a couple places Bitcoin could falter, you know, I don't know, 122, whatever, but, you know, I mean, not for a particular, like, reason, put it that way. You know, I don't think it would be, like, you know, like, you could point at, like, oh, but there was resistance up there. There isn't resistance anywhere, you know, can we still pull back? Yeah, of course, and that's what I'm saying here, but, you know, I don't think we have a reason to, which means that I feel like if we do get any pullbacks, it's probably going to be shallow, it's probably going to be quick, it's probably not going to penetrate, you know, particularly low levels. And that is, you know, good. I mean, what I was gonna say, that's a good thing to do. As long as I'm not Spurs, you'll solve. Well, I don't watch football, so take that as you wish. 120.8. We're at $120,800 right now. Still trying to push higher as we speak. So this is what I'm saying. Like this could turn into, you know, a bit more of an explosive move here. So this is definitely, you know, quite exciting to see. Okay, you'll subscribe. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Yeah, and if you are enjoying this content, if you're new to the channel, you know, obviously, you get the deal. I mean, you've been watching this stream for a little bit of time now. This is a no-nonsense YouTube channel. We just kind of say it like it is. We're only interested in making money, so... You know what I mean? Like, we're not here to, like, get in a circle and, you know, fucking validate each other's feelings about where the market might go. We're just analyzing it for what it is and getting back to our lives. You know, I think that's how I like to do it. So blow up top, what's the word? Blow off top in October. Geopolitical oriented super crash to follow. Yeah, I mean, you know, if that's what you believe, then that's what you believe in it. But you know, I don't really know if we've got any real like basis to say that might happen. Here's Bitcoin pushing for that 121k level right now. It's $50 away from $121,000. So we're definitely pushing, ladies and gents. We're definitely trying to get up to some interesting price levels here. There we go. There we go. That's nearly, we're nearly pushing it. Yeah, we're just on the edge there. $20 away from breaking 121 for the first time in about 2 months. It's been nearly 2 months since we last broke up above this level. Yeah, 50 days. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Getting very, very close. Do we have any other kind of requests, charts, things like that you want me to look at? Let's see what else I'm interested in as well while we look at this rect cam on the left-hand side. Oh, I'm sorry, on the right-hand side. Yeah, we're breaking 121. We're $2 away right now. There we go. There's the breakout. Let's see how far this goes. ETH BTC, yeah, we'll look at ETH BTC, we'll look at Solana as well. So ETH BTC, like I said, is in a really nice pullback right now. It's actually gained a little bit of ground since yesterday because, like I said, Bitcoin dominance has come down a tiny bit. But, you know, that's still putting Ethereum dominance in Ethereum BTC in a great place. It's still very recoverable from here. If it drops down here, this is an incredible buy spot. I would probably be, you know, very, very interested in buying. And then against Bitcoin, you know, its next kind of resistance zone that I see is going to be up here at about 0.52 BTC per token. And if we zoom out and try and understand why I've painted that level on the chart, that's basically going to be all this consolidation and this massive reversal that came off this level. This is a very important level for Ethereum against Bitcoin. And it would be very, very good to see Ethereum kind of overcome this level as well. So we're going to be keeping an eye out for that to see how that ends up going in this market. But, you know, like I said, if it does come down here, I think that's going to be a great level to consider buying. And I'm definitely going to be buying down there as well. I do want to point out to you guys a phenomenal OTC broker for you guys to use, linked in the description of every video and live stream here. It is 𝗙𝐿𝐵. And these guys are going to be best for you if you live in the West, anywhere in the West, like Australia, UK, US, whatever. You know, Europe as well. And like I said, you know, suitable to all trading volumes here, which is really, really cool. So, you know, whether you want to trade $500 or $500,000, they can facilitate those trade volumes very, very easily. It's a great broker. I always suggest people consider using a broker if they're serious about their crypto. This one happens to be very, very easy to use and sign up for. And I think that makes it a great option for anyone that's interested in, having a more personal relationship with the people that are executing their trades. Using things like Binance is fantastic. And, if that's what you like, then rock on, keep using it. But having a backup never hurt anybody. It's come in very handy in my experience in these markets. Having, tons and tons of backups of, what you want to be able to use. And these guys are great because they will send money into your bank account anywhere in the world, which is really, really cool. So check that out if you're interested. And of course, Bybit remains, just the best kind of centralized exchange in the game. So check them out, if you're interested in that. And same for Levex, of course, only if you're not from a restricted region. That is very, very important. But bringing it back to Bitcoin here, yeah, we're just kind of sat a tiny bit below 121 now. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. We've looked at Ethereum. Let's take a look at Solana now. Solana against Bitcoin has seen a pullback off the level I was looking for a pullback, and it's nearly come down to the buy level I was looking at as well. I don't know if this is a front run of the buy level and we're not coming back down, or if this is just a kind of, mid-level bounce and then we end up kind of retracing back down here. This is obviously only going to depend on what Bitcoin dominance does. That's going to depend to an extent on what Bitcoin price does as well. So, I think at this stage, we're in a situation where Bitcoin dominance could keep on dropping, even if Bitcoin moves up. But it depends on how explosive Bitcoin is. If Bitcoin is very explosive, jumping from 120 to 130, that could definitely soak up some of that liquidity and move it back into Bitcoin. And that would probably result in further downside for altcoins against Bitcoin. So that's going to be something to watch out for. 13 likes away, ladies and gents. Smash them up. If you haven't done so already, really do appreciate it. Very close to that 100 like mark. Thank you all very much. So, that's what I see for Solana. And then again, just in terms of, kind of upside on Solana, this is a very interesting discussion, very exciting discussion. The other thing I've got to say about Solana is, as far as the market is going, Solana is one of the best performers against Bitcoin right now, which is really good. That's exactly what you want to see, because it stayed strong against Bitcoin even when Bitcoin dominance was going up. And I think that's a really big deal, right? Like, you're getting a huge additional piece of confirmation that you're on the right side of this if Bitcoin dominance is going up, but your altcoin of choice is still hanging on. It might still lose against Bitcoin, but if it doesn't lose by much, and if it recovers quickly, then it tells you this is a star pick. This is a pick that people really are interested in putting their money behind. And that's a really good sign for, where this coin could end up taking you. So, again, does this mean that, we're clear from downside? Obviously not, but it just helps us build a case with larger and larger degrees of certainty that we're on the right side of this. And I think that's really, really cool to see as well. So, as far as upside, this 2-1 level against Bitcoin is going to be an interesting level to see Solana get up to. I want to see at least, 2.6. And realistically, I think Solana even has a shot at, kind of getting back up even close to some of its all-time highs. So very, very interesting to continue to watch this play out, I think. And definitely something I'm interested in, personally kind of continuing to watch here as well. Dogecoin just kind of sat doing nothing. Doge against USD, same thing. Solana against USD, may as well go there, is, just making another run for all-time highs. So, like I said, if Bitcoin keeps up this momentum, then, that's definitely going to keep the skies looking clear and blue for, for Solana here. So I think that is very, very cool. If we got any other questions, drop them in the live chat. Otherwise, we might be coming to the end of this one. I know that there's some price action, to be fair. I might stay to see what happens with Bitcoin here, but it certainly looks to me like this thing is getting ready to move, relatively soon. Yeah, look at that. It's already kind of like right back up at its highs. So this could turn into a bit of a rejection. There's no real support here, maybe down here at, 120.3. But shallow, support could be found right here, more or less. So we'll just have to kind of, stay locked on this and kind of see how this ends up continuing to develop here for this market. QNT, let's take a quick look at QNT. Oh, that was on the wrong chart, one sec. QNT, nothing to say here. It's right in the middle of a range. It needs to get above some resistance levels like 130 in order to run, and it would run very, very far if that did happen, probably. But, it looks like a bit of a shit coin, so it's going to need, quite a bullish, kind of environment to do that. Is this what it feels like to be on the rocket ship? I mean, sort of. Not really. Being on a real crypto rocket ship is quite a bit more euphoric than this. everybody around you is going to be happy and cocky. I don't think we're seeing any of that. So I don't really think we're in like real rocket ship territory yet. We might be if we clear the all-time high and we get up to like 130. You know, that would definitely put us in, you know, kind of rocket ship territory. But even then, I don't think we've seen real rocket ship price action this, you know, this cycle. You know, to me, I mean, we have, but in very, very short bursts, in very small pockets, very short bursts only. I'll give you a couple examples of that. If we remove all of these lines, you know, like this was definitely like rocket ship-esque type of price action. You know, 43 days up by 60%. This was a 95-day 66% move. You know, that's definitely cool. But how many of these have we seen? Like basically just 4, right? Like there was this one here, 92% in a month. This is what I'm saying. This market's been fucking aggressive. It's just that like everybody's so fucked in the head they don't even see it. This is another 85% in 92 days. I mean, these are rocket ships, but you know, like, were you there for it? Or were you, you know, all in on altcoins? Or were you not even in the market altogether? You know what I mean? Like, it was different for a lot of different people, but most people just weren't well positioned when this stuff started. You know, which they're obviously paying for. It's not, like, unrecoverable. I mean, we've still got, you know, probably, I think, a lot more upside on Bitcoin and way more upside on altcoins. And altcoins are where the real money is made anyway. So I don't think it's, like, screwed or over or you know, ruined for anybody, but you know, obviously, yeah. I mean, if you're not taking good, you know, kind of advantage of what you've got, then yeah, you got to look at why that's happening. But here's Cardano against Bitcoin. Cardano is very interesting because it's one of the, you know, I think it's one of the stronger picks, but it's not, you know, it's just not doing well. You know, it's continuously just kind of falling back down to these levels. I actually think this is a great zone to be buying Cardano in. And if we do end up seeing upside here, then again, you know, I mean, just for Cardano to get into some of its, you know, more local resistance levels, it's still like a 60% upside against Bitcoin. So incredible upside there to be made on Cardano. And that's just to some of its local resistance. I mean, you know, if it sees a crazy rally this cycle, let's say it gets up to like, I don't know, like, you know, this high was pretty high. This one was, you know, markedly lower. Another one that's markedly lower than that. Still puts Cardano at a 6.6 times gain. So I do think that it's, you know, an incredibly valuable kind of place for Cardano to be in. Assuming that, you know, it performs well throughout this market cycle, which is a big if, right? I mean, we don't know that. It could be new coins that do. You know, Solana has proven itself to a large extent that Solana is going to be a potential major player in this market cycle, but Cardano hasn't. So, you know, that's something else you got to take a look at, right? A lot of people are going to have different perspectives on this. You know, me personally, I still think Cardano's got a pretty decent chart. I think it's got a lot going behind it. I like the fact that it's a USA coin. You know, I think that's an incredible kind of, you know, fundamental factor going behind it, because clearly, you know, the US is kind of like awake now and doing stuff in this market, which is, you know, very, very good to see. So yeah, I think that that's something I'm kind of, you know, interested in seeing, you know, to watch develop. How can I add a Fibonacci from 120 to 107? The thing about Fibonacci is, like I said earlier, is you need to know what the market low is. I mean, the market top is, you know, to draw fib. Yeah, so, you know, you've got like an inherent problem if you want to try and draw fibs on this, which is that, you know, like you don't really have a real top yet. You know, Bitcoin's still actively kind of pushing higher, seeing a tiny pullback here, already trying to get back above. You know, like these are signs that tell you that it's looking for a quick big breakout here. So I think we'll just watch this and kind of see what happens over this next little bit here. See how this goes. Oh yeah, and let's look at Cardano against the dollar. Against the dollar, it really wants to break out. Look at this thing, man. Like, yeah, this really wants to go. It's already broken out like twice in the last couple of months. A third breakout, you know, like, are you going to be able to hold back a third breakout? Probably not, you know, in my experience. So, you know, I definitely think that that yeah, we've got some pretty nice upside here. Link as well, yeah, obviously a very respected coin here. Do I ever stream when it's not pumping? I mean, look, I try and time the live streams so that, you know, the live streams happen when there's price action. So, you know, it's on purpose. I mean, you guys, you know, you're going to be a lot more interested in watching when the market is moving versus when the market's been sideways for 3 business days. So, you know, that's what we try and do. I think Veracity is a good long hold, a good long-term hold for this bull run. I don't know. Don't really know anything about Veracity. I don't really look at altcoins. I just kind of look at the I just kind of look at the majors that I think are going to do well, you know, and I don't think it matters that much, frankly, you know. I mean, there are different people that have different perspectives on this. A lot of people are like fully trying to like diversify in altcoins like they run a fucking VC fund, you know, and good for you if that's you, you know. I mean, it does work for people incredibly well, but I think most people don't know what the hell they're doing, and they'd probably be better served by just dollar cost averaging on, you know, one or two really kind of solid, safe picks. Can confirm whenever the market is moving fast, I look for your stream. Yeah, there you go. There you go. And that's what we aim to do, isn't it? We want to be useful to you. So close to 100 likes, by the way. We're only 3 away. And how's the volume, by the way? Is it, you know, because I did turn the volume up a little bit. Are we feeling like it's a little bit too loud? Am I clipping a little bit? Or how's the volume? Let me know. Alts are a good long-term hold unless you buy Pico bottom. I mean, buying the Pico bottom is the goal, isn't it? Get as close to that as you can. Yeah, volume's good. Good stuff, good stuff. The irony is that the trades that make the money were made when the market wasn't pumping yet. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's how it always goes though, right? You know, it's the people who pay attention when the market is kind of dull. Those are the ones that stay positioned when the market starts moving. I mean, you know, all of it is like spending, you know, 2-3 months deliberating a hypothesis and then, you know, executing on the hypothesis and waiting a couple more months and the market just gives you free fucking money. That's how this works. I know it sucks. Like, we want to make money faster than that. We want to just fucking, you know, like, we want to tell ourselves that, okay, we had a bad day at work and we got some bills to pay, so we can just fucking log on to fucking Binance or Bybit or whatever and start fucking doing something. That's not how it works, ever. It's never how it works. Doesn't work. A lot better. Last video volume was low. Yeah, there we go. Glad it's better now. Let me, one sec. I think I said that no alts are a good hold without buying the bottom, unless I mistyped. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm glad that the volume's good for you guys, so that's great. But yeah, a little retracement here on Bitcoin. Let's see where this thing ends up going to, because if Bitcoin does end up seeing a pretty kind of steep retracement here, then, you know, it's kind of just going to be reliant on the support here, which is, you know, about, I mean, $700-800. No, more than that. Like, well over $1,000 lower than where we are right now. So that's kind of the only like good support level that Bitcoin really has, if it is trying to kind of capture some of that support. So we'll see how that continues to play out here. Let's see what else we got here. Hype is at $50. Wow. Yeah, so Hype is looking like it wants to break out as well. Definitely doing it. Did we clear the CME gap? I'm not sure, dude. I don't really look at CME gaps. Not really bothered by them. I don't like them. But yeah, that's looking interesting. Let's see what else we got here. Let's look at Link as well. Yeah, it's up against resistance right now. Pretty decent resistance as well at that. But, you know, if it does get a rejection, it's already kind of proven support at the bottom of this range here. We did find support at the exact same level. So that's really good. This $20 level for Link. If we can see it come down here, that's great support. If we can break through this resistance, then, you know, we're probably looking at a pretty aggressive move up to at least, you know, 10% higher from where we are right now on Link. Let's look at Link against Bitcoin. Let's see what this is saying. It's kind of same position as Cardano, so yeah, I think it looks pretty good. What is the next expecting retest for Ethereum? I don't know, dude, because I only look at it against Bitcoin, and I've already outlined what that level is on Bitcoin. I don't think it's worth looking at it against the dollar. I just don't understand why anybody would ever trade these coins against the dollar. I think it's totally, you know, useless. I don't even want to, like, encourage such a, you know, useless practice. I don't want to normalize it. I don't think it's good to normalize it. I think it's unhealthy. I think it's dangerous at that. Because, it, like, if you do that, it clearly means you don't understand what overarching factors drive the markets, and if you don't understand them, you're going to get tunnel vision. And if you got tunnel vision, Ethereum chart might look good, broader crypto might not. You might go long on it, and then everything crashes because Ethereum wasn't even like the useful chart to be analyzing in the first place. You know what I mean? Like there's tons of things like that can go wrong. And I think again the bottom line is just the fact that it demonstrates that somebody doesn't understand what drives the markets. I don't think that's something that I want to enable or encourage. I think it's really important to understand what drives our investments, and if it's an altcoin, then in my experience, the only real thing that drives investments is going to be like how it performs against Bitcoin. I think that's really important. So on that note, Link, it looks like it's in a very similar position to Cardano. I mean, for Link to get up to some of its local resistance levels is going to be a 2.3x gain, which is really, really cool. And then for Link to get up to this high back over here, that is a 5.3x gain, which is really, really cool. All-time high is going to be a 9x gain, and if we just set a slightly lower all-time high, that's still like a 5-6x. So very similar kind of upside to Cardano. It's got similar bullish factors behind it. Again, that whole made in USA thing, I'm pretty sure that applies to Link as well. So that's interesting. And it's like I said, I mean, like the whole Trump family has been like bullish about this shit, at the beginning of this year. I know that, this administration and just politics in the US is looking very fucking weird right now. But, if things do start going back to normal, which I think is quite likely because everything usually does return to some level of normal eventually, and I don't think it's far away, then, we might see that, things start opening up in our markets again. And if that does happen, then I really think that all those kind of residual pieces that have been planted, from essentially 6 to 12 months ago, I think that those pieces are going to, really start flourishing now. I think those seeds are going to start kind of spouting and really doing very, very, very well, over these next few months. I mean, like I said, 6 to 12 months of them telling you that, X coins are looking good. And we've started to see them waking up. So again, like I said, I just feel like we're getting all the signs that, things are looking good. And yeah, I've heard about this government shutdown. I don't really know what's going on with it. Don't really understand a whole lot of it. I don't think it matters. We've seen a couple of shutdowns over the last few years, and like literally nothing ever ends up happening as a result of them. So, I'm personally just not that interested in whatever theatrics they're doing right now, because it clearly is just theatrics. Yeah, that's quite easy to see, I think, for anyone that's paying attention. So yeah, Bitcoin's still kind of just hanging out at about 120.8. We'll stay on for a little while longer and see what ends up happening. Thanks for smashing up those likes, everyone. For those of you who are new to the channel, or maybe you're not new, just make sure that you are subscribed. YouTube will not reliably show you these live streams if you're not. It won't even reliably show it to you if you are subscribed, but it's a lot better. So definitely smash them up if you want to see more content like this. But I think this looks like a pretty damn bullish chart. I'd like to see a pullback. It would be nice, down to like 117 would, be at the ideal level to see it pull back down to. But, I don't think it's Bitcoin say. I don't think it's Bitcoin that gets to determine this. I think it's, the S&P. I think the S&P is going to be, the kind of much more kind of powerful factor that determines where this thing could end up going. Leverage flush possible, yeah. That would be one of the things that's going to be a lot more specific to Bitcoin. That could end up kind of harming Bitcoin, at least, in the short term here. And it looks like, a little bit of what we saw last time taking Bitcoin below 110 was also a leverage flush. I think we've had a few of them in these price ranges here. So yeah, we definitely could end up having another one. That would make a lot of sense. Thank you very much, 𝗙𝗏. Great to see you here in the live chat again. So nice to see these familiar names. And yeah, we'll probably just close out the stream here, to be honest. It's been a good stream. Probably be back later on if there's more price action going on. We're back on the regular streams. I mentioned at the beginning that somebody asked me, where I've been. Literally just been traveling, just been hanging out with family, doing my own thing, but I'm a little bit settled back down now. So yeah, definitely plan on doing, a lot more live streams and stuff like that as well. Depends where we drop down to. If we hold at 117, we're good. If we go lower, we're going to flush all the leverage. Yeah, I think I agree with that. You know, I mean, yeah, I think I agree with that. And we could, you know, deviate below 117. We could come as low as 114, 115, you know, just as a kind of quick, you know, liquidity grab. That totally makes sense. That's very, very normal for Bitcoin at this stage. So, you know, that could definitely be something that ends up happening. But, you know, again, we'll just have to kind of wait and see how that does end up kind of playing out, if at all. All right, ladies and gents, I think I'm just going to call it here. So let's see. Bitcoin is doing something again. I just want to see if Bitcoin breaks this high that it set, like, with conviction. Getting above 121, you know, really makes it a lot easier for Bitcoin to get up to 124. So that would be really fun to see. But like I said, you know, if I do go off stream and something big happens again, I'll probably just come back on stream in a bit. So, you know, if you have got the bell icon checked, if you are in the free Telegram channel linked in the description, then you'll definitely be able to see all that. We've also got an incredible one-to-one, basically, like, coaching program that we're offering. That's going to be right here in the description. You can reach out. Remember, the team will give you some information on that. We've had incredible results out of there. It's a 12-week program, significant investment, significant, you know, process, to be honest, but incredible results. That's why I love doing it. So definitely reach out if you think that's something that you'd be interested in. Always good to see you live, bro. Stay fresh. Thank you very much. So again, if we hold here for a bit, liquidity will build. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. It's been a great live stream. Thanks for smashing up those likes, you absolute legends. Thank you for all of that. So I see myself as a crypto Yoda living out your days in Dagobah. I don't even know what that is. I don't really understand your question, bro. I'm sorry about that. Signs of froth equals times to short. Yeah, but, you know, it's hard to be, like, it's hard to know what level of sensitivity you need, you know, to determine if it's time to go or not. Don't go. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to stay if the market's moving. We are moving a little bit right now, so. Yeah, what do you mean by that, though, Alex? I didn't quite understand your question. Bitcoin's trying. We'll see how this goes. It wants to go, clearly. It looks like it could just consolidate here for a long time, though. S&P's not doing anything, so it's all just Bitcoin's show right now. Why is the market so slow? Wouldn't retailers react? Or is it just not enough to move? I'm new to this. Don't bash me. I won't bash you. Don't worry about that. Why is the market so slow? So I think it's just because it's mature now. You know, it's a mature market compared to what it used to be. You got much bigger players in, much more money in. So, you know, it's harder to move the market. And I don't think that retail is very active here at all. Like, at all. I don't think that we're actually seeing much retail action here. So, you know, I think that's going to change. But, you know, that would probably explain it in large part. It's going to come. I think it's going to come. And when it comes, you won't really expect it. It's just going to happen. If you're sidelined, that's going to hurt a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's going to be great. Michael says, Dagobah is the plant Yoda goes into hiding and where he eventually meets and trains Luke. Okay, well, I haven't seen any of Star Wars. But I guess, yeah, I do see myself as something different now, I guess. If that answers your question, I don't know. Part of retail is in ETFs as well. Yeah, that is true. ETFs are a big option for those of you in America who, you know, have access to those products. But based on total 1, 2, 3 and others, the value is nothing more than a drop in the bucket compared to other markets. Yeah, no, I do think that Minu, in response to your question, you know, that it is going to come in, and I certainly think that, you know, when it does come in, things feel very different. The market behaves, you know, very different, and all that good stuff. Bitcoin's trying, guys. I mean, it wants to go. Let's see. Let's see. I mean, you know, after you get a pullback, you're always much more likely to break the level, and there isn't really any real resistance here, so this could turn interesting now, like now-ish. Let's just see how this ends up going. But this is very, like, degen, like, intraday, you know, small time frame analysis, so it's not reliable. It's not something to make a habit out of, in my opinion. Gale force winds in North Wales, holding onto my roof whilst watching you. Oh man, good luck with that. I'm sure you'll be fine. That must be stressful. Wondering if your roof is going to hold. But you'd be fine, surely. I mean, you know, shit like that doesn't happen in the UK, does it? I'm pretty sure it doesn't. It might be, like, very, very rare. There we go. Bitcoin's going for it. Little pullback right now, already recovering up. That's a promising sign. It's like watching paint dry, though, isn't it? It's just like the most boring fucking thing ever, just watching the chart. That's why I don't ever sit and watch the chart. I just kind of do alerts, and, you know, if my alerts go off, then I pay attention, but if not, I'm just kind of chilling, you know, probably in the gym or something. I don't know, doing something useful. Okay, a little pullback on the S&P here. So something's finally happening. That might make it a little bit harder for Bitcoin to climb up higher. Alright guys, I'm probably going to call it here. Not much going on. I don't really want to keep on watching this. I don't think it's healthy for you guys to either. I don't know. I don't want to tell you what to do, but, you know, it's not worth just fucking sitting here waiting for something that might or might not happen. I think, you know, if you're really, really curious and impatient, just set a couple of alerts. You know, just chill. I'm just going to leave it here. This is, you know, it's not productive to just kind of sit here and do nothing. So, you know, I think if there is more, you know, movement in the market, I'll definitely be back. Whether that's today, tomorrow, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But it will blast right after I sign off. You're 100% right. You are 100% right. That's exactly what's going to happen. But either way, you know, I'd rather just let it happen as it wants to, and, you know, just come back if I need to. So, yeah, thank you all for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure. Nice to do another live stream again for the first time in a little bit. Oh my god, Bitcoin's teasing me. Fine, let's just see what happens for like another tiny, like, half minute or something. So true though that it's going to blast right after I sign off. That is always how this ends up happening. It's usually like a 10 to 20 minute thing, you know, 10 to 20 minutes after I'm off, something happens. But whatever, I'm not going to sit here and just chase that. That's fine. Because it's the S&P, right? The S&P is seeing that little ugly, you know, it's tiny. It's only on the 5 minute time frame, but Seeing that tiny little kind of drop there. So that's probably not helping Bitcoin. But all right, guys, thank you all very much. And I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.